Men of Reddit, what was the last compliment you got? When was it?
Story 1. Not the last one, but one that keeps me up at night. I was new in the city, walking down the street, minding my own business. I stop at the crosswalk. The green light turns on. Everyone gets moving. Suddenly, mid-crossing the street, this gorgeous young lady gently grabs my arm, looks at me, smiles, and drops the bomb, "I love your smell." I froze right there, blushing, stuttering, thank you. Passes a second. She waves and leaves. Maybe I should have said something more. Maybe compliment her back. I cringe, for I will never know. Story 2. About a year ago, I was seeing a girl who turned out to be heavily traumatized. One day she texted me, "You're insatiably sweet, and feel like everything that is good in the world." I was trying so hard to make her feel like she deserved good things, so this made me incredibly happy. It ended in flames, but I wish her well, and that will probably be the best compliment I'll ever receive. Story 3. Not the last, but a nice story. When I was studying at the university, I was at a lake one day. I was in my early 20s. I had to cross the dam of a hydro power plant to get there. When walking back, a guy from behind me started talking to me, maybe a couple of years older. He asked if I knew where the nude bathing area was. I told him that it was a bit down the path on the other side of the lake. He then asked me if I was doing something this evening. I paused for a moment and said, "Sorry, but I am not gay." He also paused and said, "That's a shame because you are really sexy." That was about 20 years ago. Yesterday my wife said she likes my butt. That was probably the last one. Story 4. My wife told me that she seriously appreciates me preparing her lunch for the day, so that when she wakes up, it's ready to go, and that it makes a huge difference in her life. Then she gave me a hug and a smile. I love my wife. I work swing shift, so I go to bed around 2-3 a.m. So when she's asleep, I tend to meal prep a little. I take extreme satisfaction in knowing that I am impacting her in a largely positive way. Story 5. Was minding my business while grocery shopping one afternoon. In my head, probably thinking about work or something, a pretty woman who looked at least 15 years younger than me approached me while I was at the self-checkout and asked me if I was single. I was completely dumbfounded. Took a few seconds to realize what was happening. I lifted my hand to show my ring, and she left. The attendant at the store approached me to say he has never seen that happen before. We slapped high five, and I've been living off that for about the last 3 years. Story 6 depends on if it's physical or emotional. Physical was 14th of December 2023. One of my classmates complimented my outfit saying I look great and well put together. Emotional was yesterday. I spent the entire semester helping all of my classmates in college study, making them guides, answering questions, and giving out free lectures. Yesterday was results day, so I got praised by anyone that passed the semester, and they all passed. I made sure of it. Story 7. One of the ladies at work, my age, mid-40s, came in on Monday about 6 months ago and said her and her husband thought I looked like the guy from my big fat Greek wedding. I was chuffed about this because my wife had always said that, although more from a good guy perspective. One of the younger ladies, in her 20s, said, "Who is that?" Looks the guy up and says, "No, you don't. You're better looking." I went from crestfallen to top of the world in about 2 seconds. Story 8. A special thank you for investing time in teaching me how to appreciate and uplift our team. Your leadership style positively impacts our work environment. Went straight in my motivational folder in my email inbox, where I keep expressions of happiness to look over on tough days. I have 7 items in that box from the last calendar year. Kindness is a delicacy that we should all strive to make less rare. Story 9. The smartest woman I've been with for several years says I'm the smartest and kindest guy she's met. Apparently other dudes she had been with were overly sexual or airheads. Don't get me wrong, I love being in her pants, but damn, her brain is what turns me on the most. The smartest woman I've ever been with thinks I'm smart? Major ego boost. Story 10. For most of my life I would get compliments on things I did, but not so much on things about me or how I looked. Wow, that's a really cool drawing. I recently started dating someone who tells me I'm cute several times a week, and I tell you, there is something about an unsolicited and seemingly insignificant compliment like that that will give you little butterflies if you're not used to hearing them. Story 11. By far not the last one I got, but one that really stuck in my mind was when I was a teenager, and I took a girl fishing by the pier at my grandparents' house in the Swedish archipelago. She didn't like the icky part of putting worms on the hook, so I took care of all that and dug up the worm, put it on for her, etc., and she was enthralled watching me. Then just as we were about to start fishing, she took my hands and said, "Your hands are so incredibly sexy." "I love it when they are dirty," and kissed me. Needless to say, I had a hard time focusing on fishing after that. Story 12. Late 2014. I went through a real rough time. My longtime girlfriend dumped me and left me with a mortgage I couldn't afford, and suddenly was posting pictures with a guy she met at work, and I got passed over for a promotion for the third time at the BS job I had that paid shit, but took up all my time. I was already working out a lot, but I sort of started to push myself even harder and stay longer to exhaust myself more. There wasn't any big transformation. I was already thin and I'm pretty good shape, but one night on my way out, this new girl at the desk who was absolutely gorgeous looked up and said something. I had to ask her to repeat it as I took my headphones off. She said, "When is your competition?" I was completely confused and just replied, "Competition?" She said, "Yeah, I see you here every night and you are absolutely shredded, so I just assumed you were prepping for a competition." I think about her and that compliment about once a week. Story 13. That my family, mom, dad, brother, was lucky I have presence of mind. It was after a gas tank under the kitchen caught fire and everyone in the house was panicking and trying to douse it with water. It was around 8:45 a.m., December 1st, 2023. I literally woke up to a loud boom and stormed out. I saw the situation. My mind somehow went straight to this one fire drill I attended in 2012 when I was still in corporate. The specific instruction was to use a wet rag and cover the source of the fire. However, I didn't know where exactly was the source, so I went and got my bath towel, dumped it in a water bucket, and just lassoed the tank away from the burning stovetop. I ended up throwing it down to its side, away from the kitchen and out into open air. When it was out, I saw that the gas tank's lock system failed while cooking breakfast, so the fuel source was still the nozzle. There was still fire, so I just dropped the entire towel there, and it killed the flame immediately. There was only the violent hissing of gas left. We doused it more with water until it was cool enough for me to grab the iron handles and toss it further outside the house. I covered it with 2 layers of wet rags and let the gas fizzle out until the tank was empty. What happened was the old tank ran out, so they ordered a new one from a nearby gas tank shop. They've always bought their gas tank there and it was premium, so there was little concern for safety or quality. However, what we got had a faulty lock, so it leaked when the delivery guy installed it, but told my folks he fixed it. We didn't sue, but we did get paid for the damages plus the hospitalization my dad endured due to a torn rotator cuff. He slipped while dousing the fire with water and fell on his right shoulder. I honestly wanted to sue more or to at least have the delivery guy fired, but I felt sorry because he was on minimum wage. P.S. It all happened in 8 minutes because I looked at the CCTV footage to make sure I have it on record in case we sued someone. Story 14. A few weeks ago, went to the hardware store mentally preoccupied grabbing everything I needed to fix my parents' backyard water valve, PVC, glue and primer, new valve, unions joints, threaded adapters, and tape. Already had paid for my stuff when an elderly lady complimented me on my jacket saying I looked good in it. I got caught off guard and bit flustered. I thanked her kindly and made my way out. I felt shortly after I should have made conversation with her, but I wasn't thinking and just trying to make haste. Before that, maybe a year. Story 15. A lady who works for a modeling agency came into my job and said if I have any interest, I have great features for it. But since my self-esteem is so shot, I pretty much just chalked it up to her trying to be nice. I get this type of compliment every now and then, but my mind won't allow me to accept it. It comes from being a fat kid who got picked on when I was younger. Made it really hard for me to accept any praise as I got older, as I usually just assume it's a pity compliment. Story 16, my boss yesterday. She was in a big meeting with high executives and shit. She needed help to extract some date and told me to come in to fix it. In less than a minute, everything was fixed. CEO asked if I could email him the data later. To his surprise, it was already in his mailbox. She just said, "Don't be surprised, you'll get to know him. Fast and reliable." In front of the whole board, I blushed. Story 17. It was recently, about 2 weeks ago. I've been alcohol-free for close to 5 months, changed my diet, and have been rigorously weightlifting like I did 20 years ago. I've lost 30 pounds and am at 190 at 6'2" inches now. We went with another couple on an outing with our kiddos, and the wife asked me if I played soccer. I did, in school, and commented she thought so, as I had a soccer physique. It was nice to hear it from someone randomly and unsolicited, as I've put a lot of work in to be fit again as time is not on my side. 45M. I fill out shirts and Adidas pants in the right spots now. Story 18. I get a bunch of them, usually at least once a month. I had a friend who had a mental health breakdown, which led him to lose almost all his friends, and I made sure I stuck by him and supported him no matter what. Thanks to that, he'll usually give me a few compliments most times we meet up. I think the most recent was a different friend, though. About 6 weeks ago, he said he thought I was the smartest guy he knew. That helped the old ego. Story 19. I'd say it was summer 2021, and even then, I'm not 100% sure it was a compliment. I was at a festival with my friends, and me and one of my friend's girlfriends got separated from the crowd. She had to go to the toilet, so I said I'd wait for her in a specific spot, and when she come out, I was there, and she said, "Oh, I'm glad you're here. You're always exactly where you say you'll be. Thank you." I took it as one, but even then I'm not 100% sure. Story 20. Last month, my wife told me I was the new neighborhood hunk because her and her hot mom friends had a mom's night out, and all the other moms couldn't believe that I work 40+ hours a week and also cook and clean and still sexually pursue her on a regular basis. Apparently, the other neighborhood husbands, who are in much better shape and more handsome than I am, sit on their couch all day and do absolutely nothing, and for some mind-blowing reason don't even pursue their gorgeous wives sexually anymore. And from the demeanor at the bus stop and the banter with those same moms, I think my wife's comment was right. I've never done drugs, but the high I rode off of this new neighborhood dynamic has been incredible. Story 21. I used to work at a college. I was a KP, but also served the students food and coffee, etc. They'd always tell me I was the favorite people would ring the bell, then ask my boss for me. As annoying as that is, I had work to do. I always greeted them in the manner they greeted me, flirty, over the top, cheery. I preferred the night shifts more, as it was oddly students that lived there, so it was easy work along with cleaning duties, but got to talk to students for a lot longer, and made sure they was well fed. The last batch that graduated before the pandemic hit had a graduation on a Saturday, and was my day off. They begged me to come in and say goodbye, so I got dressed up, turned up, put in a few hours free labor for my company on the grounds I could say bye in whatever manner they liked. It was a lot of hugs and "I'm going to miss you." It was sweet. I'm still friends on FB with a lot of them and check in regularly with them as they're now in uni. Apparently the food isn't as good and the staff is lacking. Story 22. It was the time of college and the start of first sem. The theory classes starts, and the girl that I saw in college for the first time and was attracted to came to my seat and asked me, "Can I sit with you?" I actually don't trust any of the guys because they're looking like creeps, if you don't mind, so I obviously said yes. And after like 10 minutes in the class, she told me, "You have a very sexy jawline." This was the time that I got a compliment. And 8 months in the college, we don't talk to each other because of a mutual friend. Story 23. My employer told me they are happy I am on the team, and that nothing would get done without me, and that with him being busy with other things right now, he is glad I am there to take care of things. This felt really good, as I feel like I have been underperforming since the task we are doing right now is new to me, and I was worried I would not be able to keep up. Aside from this, 2 weeks ago I had a rare trip to the office, so was on the bus, and 2 stops later a man gets on, seat were not full, but he decided to sit next to me. Compliment, right? Doesn't end there. You see, he was a very nice and friendly man who started talking right away, and getting closer and closer until he was comfortable enough to put his hand on my leg, which really gave him a boost as a second later he was fondling my crotch. I was so complimented I jumped over the seat in front of us, got up, went and stood by the bus driver. 3rd time I've been complimented in such a way in 4 years talking that bus, so 3rd time is a really huge deal. Feel very special. My ability to run away in excitement and not tell anyone is getting better. I am humble that way. Story 24. Went to a bar with my wife last weekend. Later in the evening, we got into talking with some middle-aged dude, married with 2 children. Quickly turned out that he also kinda likes men. Since he was fairly drunk, he bombarded me with compliments for an hour. Smart, handsome, etc. Mostly generic stuff. Clearly wanted in my pants. He also told me as much. And TBH, it got exhausting really fast. Story 25. I'm lucky enough to have a wife that compliments me daily, whether I feel they're justified or not. Get a partner who always remembers to make you feel good about yourself. But since that's a boring answer, I'll leave out family. Probably about 2 years ago when I worked as a supervisor at a restaurant, I was waiting a table and a woman told me I looked like Chesney Hawkes. Googled him after she left and felt really good about myself for the rest of the day.